Incoming transmission, operation, intermission. Today's comics act more like a recap or filler episode in comic form. However, Revich has informed me, the host, of a special update for their listeners that I doubt is worth tuning into. But if you insist, let us continue on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today we are diving into Dreamwaves, More Than Meets the Eye Armada comics. I'm Onyx with my wonderful, smart, clever co-host.
Hi, I'm Killobyte, and I'm all three of those.
And I'm
That's true.
Clickbait, and I'm definitely all three of those.
No, you
I don't know about
you
that
can't
one.
have all three.
Whoa,
They got claims.
whoa,
They got claims.
shade.
They're on the table.
Yeah, I got
Then
that.
I'm
Claims,
those
I'm too
plus
quick.
one. Plus one.
Moving on with our comic discussion for today's episode takes us to Dreamwaves, More Than Meets the Eyes Armadas, issues 1 through 3. And as always, spoiler warning. So if you haven't read these comics, I don't know if we would highly recommend going and read them because it's not super necessary to the story, as you will find out. But fear not, spoiler warning ahead. So if you do want to read them, go ahead. But
It's not necessary.
yeah, with that, Clickbait, do you mind giving us the facts and trivia?
Absolutely, it is time for some fast facts. We are reviewing 3 comics today. Issue 1 was published March 10th of 2004, and the last issue on May 5th of that same year. Our writers for these comics are Adam Patek and Brad Mick. Pencils by Joe Ang, James Reyes, Rob Ruffalo, Don Figueroa, Jung Im Lee, Guido Guidi, Pat Lee, Andrew Froge, Kei Zhang, Marcelo Mater, Alex Lin, Alex Milne, with colors by Elliot Kravchik, Sigmund Torre, Jung Im Lee, Ray Villanueva, Josh Burcham, Rob Ruffalo, Eric Burns, Sil Chung, and Josh Perez. And I think I'm going to put in my 2 weeks resignation because wowza. Now for
Declined.
some... Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I guess it's on to the trivia. Nemesis Prime's profile explains why he looks just like Optimus, something Puppet didn't. It had scanned the Autobots and Decepticons and chose from the being they most respected and feared. It also speculates whether Nemesis was created by Sideways and Unicron or was a pre-existing entity they were manipulating. The Linkage comics showed that for the cartoon continuity at least, it was the former, but the writers of this series can be forgiven for not knowing about it. Megatron's profile says he can draw on an extra-dimensional source of antimatter for his gun barrel, the same as his Generation 1 counter. He got that fusion cannon.
Nice.
Got that fusion cannon.
Oh,
Gilbert,
that was so
That's
much.
can you give us the summaries of these very intense, very episodic comics?
Well, it's more of a summary of the whole issues, because More Than Meets the Eyes is a 3-issue collection showcasing character bios, stats, weaknesses, weapons, abilities, and out modes, all accompanied by beautiful art and a small recap of the previous events.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty nice. And as always, this information has been taken from the wiki. And as always, we appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for the support. You're all amazing.
Thank
you so much. You are all amazing.
You are all number
Very amazing.
1.
A whole number 1.
You
And
can't
don't
all
tell
be number
anyone else. All right. Shall we get started?
Let's.
I am.
Cool. This will probably be the shortest comic review we've ever done. So this first page is from the human's perspective and a speed run of the Armada series. Then the rest of the issues seem to be bios of the Transformers we've seen in either the comics or the show. Thoughts or favorite bots you notice while flipping through the pages. They don't really tell us anything new other than like, hey, this bot turns into a space shuttle. They believe the rights of all sentient beings of freedom and stuff. Also, one time they shot so and so.
Yeah.
The short story, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
retelling the whole events that we've read so far until now. But then they state that they're not sure how they can remember all of this and how the terminal that she's inputted in there got there. And then we see the minicon that visited us from a different dimension being like, it'll all make sense in due time, and that's kind of it. So I feel like that could have been left for the next issues instead of just been put in here. But, it was nice, sweet, and short. As for the bios, I love all the minicon bios, and the art is amazing. This is where I got information and design on Killobyte. So.
Is that right?
Yeah,
you designed yourself now.
Yeah,
wow.
I scan these images instead of scanning a car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How about you, Clickbait? You've been kind of quiet over there for once.
There was a whole... I mean, we've been dealing with some pretty action-packed comics the last few episodes, so to go from that to these being kind of propositioned
Almost full
as...
stop.
Yeah, almost full stop. And they're still like, yeah, this is still like part of the comic series, but they're not. It's more of like a visual guide to Transformers Armada, the comics. And it was kind of like a super dump of information. I mean, you're going to read it, and unless you already know the characters and you're kind of diving in on them, or like you're looking up your favorite character, there's not a lot to glean from it. The art is really cool. I liked all the quotes that they added and that they kind of included the characters' sigils with them. It reminds me of the Transformers, what was it called? Universe collection back in the 80s that they did, or 90s, where they did the cast collection of all the G1 characters, and it was very, very similar to this, which those are cool. We should read those sometime. And it was also a 3-issue series where they went over the entire cast from the Transformers show and the 1984 run of comics that went on. It very much reminds me of that, except this was probably longer because those were much shorter back then. Each character got like one side of the page. I think these ones did, except for a couple. But
yeah,
there's not a lot to talk about, really. There were a couple of cool characters, a couple of really funny quotes. But aside from that, I mean, nothing happened. There was no plot.
Are there any theories from either of you two what the next series going to be? The connecting series that
probably the middle TV
continues
show
the series?
From that series.
Yeah.
Well,
probably Transformers Energon.
well, I'm assuming based on how it ended, these issues that we just read, they all end up together. Like Optimus even says, like even Decepticons can come back and we can all live together. So maybe they'll be starting in a neutral space, and then Megatron might show up again and kind of start causing trouble. Because we do see him getting flown into like Unicron's mouth towards the end of the comics. We don't really see him go offline, so I don't think he's dead. But
of course not.
Yeah, so he's probably just bringing Unicron with him again. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes.
We'll see where it goes. Well, that's it for the notes. Clickbait, do you have any quick quotes?
I do. That is such a funny question.
Where did you find quotes?
Listen, I pulled all of my quotes from the characters' little one-liners, okay? I just pulled the one-liners from under their names. I picked the ones that I thought were the funniest or stood out the most. So my first one is in the first issue. I picked one from each of the issues. First one is Runway, and he says, "You can take my orders or take off." I thought that one was cute.
Nice.
Second issue, the one featured was Roller Bar, and he says, "It ain't the size of the gun, it's the size of the bang," which also pretty funny.
Killobyte's gonna write that down for when he goes out in the town.
And then my one from issue number 3 is from Dead End, and he says, "My mind rots in the black house of crooked angles." And honestly, I kind of relate sometimes.
That was pretty dark.
That definitely took a turn from the last two.
Yeah.
Such dynamic quotes you have.
Thank you very much. I tried to pick up a variety of quotes.
And that you did. That you did this time.
This time.
Let's start with Rod Star rating, and I'll start us off. 1.5 stars, I think. It doesn't really add too much. There's no story here per se, or not anything you cannot skip. There's lots of nice art. That's the only reason why I'm not giving it less than a 1 star. But that's it. And even some of the art is kind of like, but for the most part, it's pretty good. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this doesn't even fit within the other comics we've read, so it just feels like rating it does not match as well. So it's just a one. It's a nice read if you want to read more about the characters and all that. So go for it. And it's just just a little one.
I feel like it didn't add anything to the story. You could take it out, wipe it from existence, and nothing would change. It was fun to be able to see the art because I can't keep track of what the mini comic like, so it was helpful for that. I felt like we should have read this before we read the Armada comics, so I knew what was happening and who was who. But
maybe we should have watched the show.
Yeah.
Primus above.
Swerve Bar, let's watch.
Swerve Bar, live commentary from the cast of Swerve Bar. That'd be fun. I'm gonna go with a 1.5 also, just because it wasn't horrible. I didn't hate it. It just didn't really do anything. The art was nice. The one-liners, some of them were pretty funny. So yeah, 1.5 I feel like is fair.
All right. But listeners, what did you think of these comics? How many rod stars would you give it? Let us know by leaving a comment below. Next up on the agenda, we have a channel update for you. This is mostly for YouTube. Everywhere else should be unaffected. We are planning on splitting our famous D&D homebrew Transformer series, Transform and Rollout, into its own YouTube channel. So when that comes up, it should be on the screen here. You can click and subscribe to that, and that will be all your Transformers D&D related content will be moving over there moving forward. Next up, we are also splitting Transformers, our Let's Play series, into its own YouTube channel. Now, the reason why we're doing this is YouTube doesn't like that we do different activities on our channel. They really want us to do one specific thing. And so we're just moving stuff around to make it more accommodating. This, again, should not affect your podcasts. This should not affect our social medias. Everything will be posted on Swerve's Bar on all platforms, on all social media platforms, I should say. Other than that, anything from Clickbait or Killobyte on the comments of what we're changing?
Nope. It'll just make it easier to find whichever show is your favorite.
Yeah.
Or whichever segment of our show is your
Less
favorite.
cluttering.
Yeah.
But if you would like to get in contact with us, you can send us an email at swervesbarpodcast@gmail.com. That is SWERVESBAR podcast@gmail.com. Any new toys?
I got Autobot Flame. He's in a 2-pack, but we only talk about one. So, I got Autobot Flame. I've heard of him. I saw him in the 2005 IDW continuity. He looked pretty cool then. And I was not sure if I was going to get it at first, but I was like, I'll get it. I'm sure he'll pop up again at some point, and then I might be like, I really want a figure, and then I missed it. So I got it. I like it. He uses the Megatron video game Cybertron mold, and I feel like it fits him, especially if they're going for like the G1 or first iteration of Autobot Flame. So pretty cool. Pretty easy to transform to.
Mm-hmm.
Clickbait?
I always have a new toy to talk about, and so the one that I have obtained since the recording of our last episode is Transformers Studio Series Bumblebee Skywarp, who is the match to my Thundercracker, Starscream, and Blitzwing from Studio Series Bumblebee. He's adorable. He's, purple and gray and super cute, and I think he about finishes out my Studio Series Bumblebee Seeker as of thus far.
Nice.
Yeah, he's adorable. I like him.
Continuing on my current rabbit hole for Shatterglass Autobots, I have gotten a hold of a Shatterglass Jetfire, and he is a big boy. He's bigger than I thought he was going to be, but he looks nice. He's got a little bit loose joints in the hips and knees, but from what I hear from other people who have the normal Jetfire mold, that is the same case there. So I might have to get some sort of adhesive or some sort of fixative to make them a little tighter so I can put them in more poses. Because I can put him in one pose, but then his hips will sag forward or backwards. But overall, I like the colors. He's purple. Again, I like the color purple there. But yeah, with that, I'm just missing Slicer, Blaster. I feel like there's more.
Soundwave.
You're missing some of the Decepticons.
I'm missing all the Decepticons except for Flame War. But
yes.
I think that's all the Autobots.
Yeah.
I think you're about close. And do you have the Ultra Magnus?
I do have Ultra Magnus. I think I talked about that one on a previous one.
I think you did.
Yeah. All right. With that, are you two ready for Transformers Energon Volume 1?
Right, we just took a little
Yes.
break, and then we'll get back to the action.
Get back to the
Yes.
action.
Always
Killobyte,
good
do you
to
mind
take a
taking
little-
us out?
I do, because I was not ready. Let me find
Wow.
it real quick.
You know, I can do it, Kilo.
If you've enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing. If you want to help out the show even further, we have started a Patreon. All the proceeds will go to supporting the show and keeping the lights on. Of course, we have some tiers that offer other forms of gratitude, such as pre-printed files and entry to our Discord channel. You'll even get early access to our comic review videos a week before they're publicly released, and our D&D videos. Well, now they're going to be moved, so now they will be in the other channel, but they will still be in early access on our Patreon. We also have a Redbubble, and we have pillows, shower curtains, jackets, bed sheets, anything you might need.
Baseball caps.
Oh, yeah,
Clocks.
all with original art
Rugs.
by Onyx. So that's always fun. And as always, we hope you're all staying safe out there. Thank you so much for listening to All Are One.
Till all are
So
one.
all are one.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Swerve Podcast, and even on Tumblr. Yes, with everything going on Twitter, we figured we should cover our bases. Speaking of which, you can also find us on Twitter at SwervesBar, if that's still a thing. If you're interested in more content, try checking out our spin-off D&D series, Transform and Roll Out. Season 3, titled Eons, is now available. Let's tune in to a preview now.
I am not usually a bot of many words, but some words are worth saying. Some silences are meant to be broken. This is one of those times. I know what it is like to feel like you don't have a voice. You cannot impact or change the future, but you can. We fight for those we have lost. The times we were captured or wounded or killed, our memories and voices stolen. We take a stand for those who cannot. In all my time in this world, I have never seen a more ragtag group of bots and defenders to stand so united against such a grave threat, and no prime more qualified to lead us into battle. There is no one else I'd rather fight for, and no prime I'd rather fight beside. So we will fight today's battle, for tomorrow's future. We fight not for who we are today, but for who we can be, till all are one.
Well, that was certainly something. There is also a YouTube channel with bonus content, such as video games containing funny comments and trendy shorts. A link will be provided below. And if you're so inclined, you can support us on Patreon, where you can get even more bonus content, such as reading files, access to their Discord, and listen to the content before it's released to the public. More links will be provided below. End transmission.